Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Ryan Vanderplatz and this is your Tekla PowerFab 2025i What's New webinar. Before we get into the presentation, I have to go over the standard disclaimer. So the information presented regarding future product features and functionalities is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon to make a purchasing decision. Trimble is under no obligation to deliver any future products, features, or functionalities within any specific time frame, if at all. Release dates and content are subject to change at Trimble's sole discretion. So with that, of course, I'm Ryan Vanderplatz. I'm a senior product manager here within the fabrication group at Trimble. And joining me is my illustrious colleague, Ian Struthers, also senior product manager within the fabrication group. Today we'll be talking about 2025i and the Enhanced Production Planner. This is probably one of the most important bits of dev we've done possibly ever on Tekla PowerFab. It was based on feedback. People wanted a simplified modern way of planning production. We came out with the initial bit of this development in 2025. It was a big enough project that we had to split it over two versions. So this is a culmination of what we've done. Ian led this this bit of development, and I think it's amazing. He did a great job. So he'll be talking about that. Then he'll pass it back over to me. I'll talk about integrations with Trimble ProjectSight and Trimble Viewpoint for users of those software. They have better integration to manage their projects and to do accounting. Then Ian will talk about a really exciting development, the Trimble Assistant, which uses AI. Users can, within the software, can type in their question and it will query our Tekla user assistants and come up with a pretty solid answer, hopefully negating the need to reach out and wait for support. Of course, support will always be there for deep issues, but we're hoping that this helps people out, keeps them moving using the software in a better way. And lastly, we'll do general improvements. So without further ado, let's jump in and have Ian talk about the production planner.
Thank you, Ryan, and once again, thank you for everyone who's joined us today. It's great to have you with us. I'm going to start by talking about the new enhanced production planning project we've been doing. I've got quite a lot to get through, so I'll go nice and quickly. So as hopefully some of you are aware, we released the new production planner interface as a preview feature back in March in version 2025 of Tekla PowerFab. We provided a feedback channel within the production planner app itself, so users could, as they were using it, they could tell us what they liked and what they didn't like. And this was a real good success. Over the last 6 months, we've had well over 100 feedback comments from over 20 customers. So I'd like to thank those who took the time to try out the new production planner, knowing as a preview feature, and also take the time to tell us what you thought. We received lots of feedback, as you can see, but I want to focus on some of the most common areas. So the first one was it was a limitation that work packages couldn't always be fabricated in a single week. So the ability to be able to kind of spread a work package over multiple weeks. There was a lack of visibility between the office and the shop floor when the kind of the department priorities that were being defined on the planner weren't then being kind of transferred to the shop. A lack of visibility kind of in the longer term, so all good and well being able to plan work packages kind of 2 or 3 weeks out from a production perspective, but how about kind of projects that were coming down the line that we knew we had commitments for, and being able to see those on the planner as well. There was several of you reported issues when you were updating your departments and shifts as you were configuring the planner, and sometimes those weren't being reflected on the interface itself. And there was also, several of you mentioned, there was kind of limited control over what certain individual users could and couldn't see within the planning interface. So I've broken the improvements into two parts, and the first focuses primarily on the production planner. The second are kind of more generic improvements we've made. So I'll go through the production planner first, and the first feature that we actually delivered this in a service pack, but it was so commonly requested that I wanted to cover it again in today's webinar, and that's the ability to split a work package across multiple weeks or multiple kind of workshops or work areas. So this is obviously when a work package contains a significant number of hours that cannot be fulfilled within a single week or by a single location. So having the chance to kind of spread that over multiple weeks. To address the challenge with kind of longer term forecasting, you can now create future work packages to be able to kind of reserve capacity well into the future, whether that's for new projects or kind of later phases or sequences of ongoing projects. And then the ability to kind of offset against these future work packages as and when the production work packages come through. We've got some simple dependency warnings. So as you're kind of moving things around on the department planner, being able to kind of see if anything kind of conflicts where you've perhaps scheduled cutting after you've scheduled assembly, for argument's sake, just to make sure everything's kind of in order there. And some of the issues with updating departments and shifts that I mentioned a few moments ago have also been resolved. So with that being said, we'll go and take a look. So let's take a look at some of the new production planner enhancements in Tekla PowerFab 2025i. And the first feature I want to show you is the ability to split a task or a work package over multiple weeks or work areas. So here we can see my Hilton facility is significantly over capacity for the current week. So I will go into the department view of the planner to see what can be done about this. Now I've got this this particular work package here with 636 hours of fabrication against it, which alongside all the other work packages that I need to fabricate that week isn't achievable. And I can see that the due date for this isn't for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to see how we can split this over multiple weeks. So on the work package menu there's a new option to split task. And what I can do, I can use the plus button to create several divisions of that overall 636 hours for multiple weeks. So I'm going to move 250 onto next week, and I'm going to put 86 onto the week of the 22nd. So when I click apply now, you will see that 636 hours is broken out as 300, 250 and 86. Now that still leaves me over capacity for the current week. So another possibility is, rather than spreading over multiple weeks, which may not be possible, splitting it across multiple work areas. So work package 2 on this particular job has 196 hours. And again, if I come to the split task, rather than putting 96 hours onto the preceding week, I might choose to move 96 hours onto a different line or work area for the same week, and that's going to have the same effect, where it's going to split that one work package department over multiple work areas. It's worth noting that you are able to undo a split. So for a package that has been split and you get this icon indicating that it is a split package, I am able to undo split task, and that will roll those hours or the weight back into the original line. The next feature I'd like to talk about is the ability to create future work packages, which can be used to reserve or allocate capacity a bit further out into the future at a point where maybe you haven't got your production work packages released. So if I scroll a bit further down the schedule, we can start to see some future work packages, which are easily identified by the fact there's a future on them, and they have this checkered background to the work package tiles to create some differentiation between those and the production work packages. To create a new future work package, we simply click on the plus icon in the future group for the corresponding week and workshop, and that will open up the new future work package form. And I simply fill these out. Now, for the sake of time, I won't go through all of these, but it's really important to note that the job number correlates to a production control job. So if this is a job that's only just been won, and at this stage maybe you've only just set up your project management job, we strongly recommend creating your production control jobs as soon as possible to allow you to go ahead and create your future work packages. Once you fill these fields out and click Next, what that will do is take you to the capacity form. Now, clearly I've already specified some capacities for this work package, but this would be blank, and it allows you to specify how much capacity, either by time and or weight, you would like to reserve for this work package for each week and department. So I've already done my parts department and my painting department, so I'll come and add a few lines in. Now you see every time I add a new row, it's moving it on a week, so it's assuming that you're going to be scheduling over multiple weeks. Maybe it's for an entire sequence or maybe an entire job, depending on the size of it. And 375. Okay, and the progress bars on the right hand side are indicating kind of in blue how much you are kind of adding with this future work package, and the yellow indicates what's already been reserved for that same week, whether that's a future work package, another future work package, or an existing production work package. In this case, it's showing me as I'm actually over capacity for 1 week of painting. So I'm now scheduling 1,500 hours, and if this was the first time I was creating the future work package, when I click apply, that's going to add the future work package to my schedule. Now, future work packages can be toggled on and off using the filter there, and that will remove any kind of reserved capacity for future work packages. It'll remove those, so you can see just what's committed to production versus what's also committed for future work packages. Now, when ultimately a production work package gets released, which supersedes a future work package, when you schedule a production work package, it will check to see if there are any future work packages that exist for the same job. And here, what I can do, department by department, I can choose. Now in this case I've only got one future work package for this job, but I'll be able to choose which future work package this kind of correlates to and offset, in this case, the 16 hours of parts prep against the 100 hours of parts prep I reserved on this future work package. Again, 214 hours of fabrication are being offset, as are 37 hours of painting. So when I click apply, what that's going to do is update the future work package to reduce those hours. So if I come into my capacities now, we can see those hours have been reduced slightly to offset the hours of the production work package. And the intention is that as you kind of continue to schedule your production work packages, the future work package the hours will diminish in your future work packages until ultimately there's nothing left. Okay, the last thing I want to show you is just to point out that your future work packages will also appear on the department view, obviously broken down by week and department. And whilst you can't add future work packages on the department view, they can be kind of viewed and edited. And as I showed you on the workshop overview, you can also toggle those on and off to suit. The last thing I'm going to talk about in regards to the production planner is the new schedule-based dependencies that we've added. Now, these are really simple, but here we can see, for argument's sake, on J2501 work package 9, I've got I've got parts prep, fabrication and painting all scheduled for the same week. Now, if I happen to take fabrication in this case and move it to an earlier week, it's going to check to see, well, actually, fabrication is now scheduled before parts prep. Is this something that you meant to do? Continue will allow you to carry on, and cancel will cancel it. So if it continue there, it's going to permit it. But obviously then I can adjust the schedule to bring the other work packages into line. Okay, so part one was specifically focusing on the production planner interface itself. Part two we're going to see some additional enhancements we've made within the same kind of space as production planning, but some of the more general improvements we've made. The first thing I want to talk about is the new department level views that we've added to the work package interface. So this is providing shop floor employees primarily the ability to kind of filter down to the department and the work area that they are working in, and only see the work packages that are relevant to them, and with some additional kind of contextual information around that. We've added the ability to define planning rules. Now these rules can be applied for both kind of workshops, work areas and machines, so that as we are assigning work packages and cut lists, we can identify any possible challenges that they may face when doing so, and being able to make sure that everything goes to the right place first time. And we've also added some additional user permissions around what work packages and cut lists users can see. So being able to kind of restrict access to only the relevant information that each user requires to see. And with that, let's go and take a look. As well as the improvements to the production planner that we've just seen, in Tekla PowerFab 2025i, we've also added a number of improvements that help with the overall management of your production. The first I want to show you is the new department view within the work package interface. Now, previously you were able to view a list of all your work packages sorted by priority and due date. And you can apply some simple filters based on their workshop, or perhaps kind of group 1 and group 2, depending on how they're being classified. But following the introduction of the production planner, what we heard was that shop floor employees want to be able to see exactly what they need to do within their department and within the workshop and work area that they were assigned to. So to address that, we've added this new drop down here that allows you to select the work packages by a specific department, and then the workshop and work area. So I'm going to go to my fabrication department in my Hilton workshop on line 2. And this screen is now only going to show me the work packages that I need to be working on. A couple of things I want to point out here. Firstly, the progress bar on the left-hand side is only relevant to this particular department. Okay, so when that gets to 100%, it doesn't mean the work package is completed in its entirety, but it's fulfilled at this particular department. With that in mind, we've added a new department complete filter, which by default will be set to no, which means that any work packages that are completed for this department, regardless of whether the work package is complete or not in its entirety, will be hidden from this view. Obviously, that filter can be removed if you want to see work packages that have been completed within the department. The other thing I'd like to talk about is this previous department progress bar that we've got. Now, this may not be on by default. If not, you can turn it on from the settings over there. But this just gives an indication of how the previous department is progressing with this same work package. So in this example, if I'm in the fabrication department, it's going to be really handy for me to know how the parts department are getting on, so I know what can be done and what cannot. To get back to the main work package interface, we simply click on the work packages option up there. The next feature is the new production planning rules we've added, which can be found within maintenance, production control, fabrication maintenance, and production planning rules. From here, we can set up rules or conditions that are validated when either work packages or cut lists are assigned to workshops, work areas, machine groups, and machines. So you can see here I've got a variety of rules. I've got some real high-level rules to start with, some basically maximum weight allowed rules for my Hilton workshop line 1 and line 2 to reflect my crane capacity. And I've then got some more specific rules such as hole diameter allowed, flange thickness allowed, and they're kind of to describe the capabilities or limitations of my machines. To create a new rule, I click on New. In the Properties drop-down, we've got a whole number of properties that can be selected. In this case, I'm going to choose Finish. And once I've chosen my property, the Select button will then allow me to choose which values I do or don't want to allow. So in this case, I'm going to choose all of my external treatments, or perhaps unpainted as well. I can then say whether those, in this case, those values are allowed or not allowed. So I'm going to say anything that's hot dip galved, intermittent, painted, or unpainted should not be sent to the Hilton paint shop. And that's just to make sure that we're only sending things to the paint shop that actually need to be painted. And I'll call this external treatments. Okay, I'll save that. Now, some rules, I won't go create another one, but depending on what property you select, so if I go to length, for example, rather than picking from a list, it's going to allow me to choose a minimum maximum. And some rules apply to workshop, work area, machine group, and machine, but other rules, such as assembly weight, won't apply to the machine level properties. So if we go and take a look at some of these rules in action. So if I'm going to come to my cut list to start with, so production control cut lists. So when you assign a cut list to a workshop, machine group or machine, it's going to check if there are any warnings on that. So if I come into this particular cut list, which we can see is assigned to the small saw, there are 8 warnings. I can open that up, click on the Warnings tab, and that's going to tell me which warning rule is being breached and which property it is and the value of the property. So here I've got some max depth allowed, which is exceeded, and I've also got the maximum flange thickness, which has been exceeded. Obviously, in this point, I need to choose a different machine, so I can come to Properties. If I now send that to the saw drill line instead, that will revalidate those rules, and in time that will update to be 0. There we go. And if we now go and take a look at my work packages, it's a very similar concept whereby initially when a work package is created, it's typically assigned to a workshop, at which point the warnings will review just the contents of the work package against the workshop rules. But subsequently, when a work package is planned on the new production planner and is assigned to specific work areas by department, like we can see here, this has been scheduled to line 2 for fabrication, the warnings will go one level deeper and consider the work area rules as well. And in this case, we can see that we have multiple breaches of the max weight rule because some of the assemblies in this work package exceed the maximum weight that's been specified as a production rule. And finally, it's also worth mentioning that the warnings will soon be available within PowerFab Go on the production planner cut list and work packages interface as well. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, the last feature I want to show you is the new permissions we've added for which cut lists and work packages individual users can see based on where they work, kind of geographically, what machines they operate, what departments they kind of operate in. So if I just come to my remote permissions, I can see there are 3 new selection boxes within the cut list area, and we'll see the work package in a moment. So if me as a user only operates a single machine, or maybe machines within a certain group, then I can add that machine, okay that. Now before I save that permission, let's just go and take a look in PowerFab Go and see what cut lists I can currently see. So I can see there's a number of cut lists there planned to multiple machines. If I go back into Tekla PowerFab and just save that remote permission, back into PowerFab Go, refresh that list, you can see there it's now restricted which cut list I can see, and it's limited me just to the saw drill line. In similar fashion, I can do the same for work packages. So I can either select, I'm only allowed to see work packages in Hilton because that's the only workshop I work in, or I can go down to an individual work area as well. But for now, I'll just set it to my Hilton workshop. Again, before I save that remote permission, let's just go and take a look at the list initially. So I'll come to my work packages. And here we can see work packages being shown from both Hilton and Marchington. But if I go and save that change now in PowerFab Office, back into PowerFab Go and refresh that screen, we can see the Marchington work package are now removed. So hopefully, again, that's something we heard back on the feedback from you guys, and hopefully that will help you give or have better control over who sees what within the workshop. Okay, and I think now I'm handing you back to Ryan. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ian. Next, we'll talk a little bit about the Trimble ProjectSight integration. I'm really excited about this because this will give people who have both ProjectSight and PowerFab an opportunity to manage their projects in a modern web-based way. So we did this for the persona of a project manager. So Jana is a project manager in charge of drawing logs, transmittals, RFIs, change orders, task lists. And the current problem is that information needs to be communicated internally and externally. So especially externally to detailers and to people who do approvals, whether that's the GC or the engineer. And they want, the problem is that communication needs to be online, and in their current workflow, it's not. It's contained within PowerFab, so they're doing a lot of manual logging, and they need those actions when people respond or make comments. They want that to be in a cloud-based platform so people can truly collaborate to get drawings approved faster or information faster. Well, there are a few things that have to be set up on the PowerFab side before you can use this integration. So in maintenance, you've got to come to the integration settings, and we have Trimble ProjectSight now available in the integration list. When you pull that up, you need to enable the ProjectSight integration, and you can select the areas in which you want to use ProjectSight rather than the inbuilt PowerFab tools. So you're able to sync the PowerFab drawings to ProjectSight, and you're able to select the different drawing types, right? So you could say, I only want to sync up my detailed drawings because I'm managing the contract drawings already in ProjectSight, or the specifications already there. So you can include or exclude different drawing types. You can use it for your transmittals / submittals, for requests for informations, for change orders, and for what we call task lists, what in ProjectSight they call punch items. And this is a company-wide setting for all projects that you link. Once you have it set up, when you come into project management, on any project, when you open it up, the second barrier to entry is on the project settings. You have to link to a particular project in ProjectSight. Once you do that, when you come to the summary here and you click on, for example, drawing logs, you're going to see the old drawing log screen, right? Because drawings need to exist in both places. We need the drawings still in PowerFab so that when we click on the bill of material or we're in Go, we see those drawings, and those drawings are pulling from the PowerFab server. but you also have the opportunity to see the project site drawing log. And when you have this enabled, when you load a new job to PowerFab and those drawings go to the PowerFab server, you can sync those up to ProjectSight. It sends those drawings over. Uh, it puts them online for you. Just as an example, I was playing with this before we got in the meeting to see how long it would take to sync up drawings. Let's see if we're done yet. All right. So we're done linking it. To do 1,200 drawings up to ProjectSight, it took about 45 minutes. This isn't instantaneous, right? It's got to move PDFs up to ProjectSight. So when we come back over here and we view the drawing log for ProjectSight drawings, it's going to launch ProjectSight. It's going to go into their drawing view. And here we can see, they can see thumbnails of the drawings. They can load specifications. They can load photos on the project. So a much more modern interface. And again, the ability to invite internal and external members so that drawings can be shared easily. They can be put into transmittals. They can ask RFIs. They can do those punch list items in a much more modern way. If we go back over to PowerFab and just do an example of a transmittal, again, when we click on the transmittal button, rather than showing the PowerFab transmittals, it shows the transmittals that are available in ProjectSight, right? So the most important part here is that ability to sync drawings between PowerFab and ProjectSight. When you talk about the other functionality, it's really just redirecting people rather than using our internal tools to use the ProjectSight ones. I'll show RFIs as one last example there, because I do think there are some really cool tools once you start playing with ProjectSight. For example, on the RFI front, when you take a look at the link drawings here, so you can actually go into, oh, it's freezing up there. Okay, you can go into the markups of the drawings. So you can come in here and you can add a highlighted area and it links it to that RFI automatically, right? So some modern tools, some way to mark up drawings that are much more effective. And again, when people reply to this RFI, there's no going back and logging that action with the person, with the date, like you have to do in PowerFab. There's a lot of benefit to using ProjectSight. Additionally, we have a new integration or an enhanced integration with Trimble Viewpoint. So this is for the persona of a purchasing agent, Doug, who wants to send steel costs to Viewpoint Vista, and for Yana, who is a project manager who needs to see true job costing on her projects. And the problem is when people don't have an accounting solution that's integrated, they have to do manual entry of purchase orders or items used on a job. And because that's so tedious, they tend to just put lump sum amounts in, and they lose the opportunity to verify that stuff has been received. They have to do a lot of manual tracking. And even in the old Viewpoint Vista integration, which was file push pull back in all the way back from 2019, it wasn't done in a modern way. This new integration with App Exchange is Viewpoint Vista is via App Exchange, which is a cloud-based program that reconciles how the information is structured in PowerFab and how it needs to go into Vista, and it just handles that handoff behind the scenes. So the information that's being shared in this integration is purchase order information, gets sent from PowerFab to Vista via App Exchange. The inventory transactions, or what Viewpoint calls cost adjustments. So when material is used out of stock that wasn't purchased for the job, or when material is transferred from job to job, it also captures those costs, and it also has the opportunity to send over subcontracted purchase orders as well. And it does this all behind the scenes without having to remember to do a file push pull. So we're excited about this. I won't spend too much more time on this. Not everybody has Viewpoint. So at this point, I will hand it over to Ian to talk about our Trimble Assistant.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to just go through some of the smaller improvements we've made to Tekla PowerFab 2025i now, and starting with the new Trimble Assistant for Tekla. So now when you log into PowerFab Office, on the left hand side you will see the new Trimble Assistant. Now this is a side panel. It's actually combined with the submittals panel we added in 2025, so it can kind of be minimized and maximized to suit. So as with all AI assistants, we can ask it questions in natural language, and we can get relevant contextual answers. It's based on the content within Tekla User Assistant, so rather than having to go into the Tekla User Assistant's portal and searching for the right article, this will get you there a lot quicker. It will also provide the relevant links to the articles that it's used to formulate the answer. And as with most AI assistants, you can kind of upvote and downvote, so it can continue to learn on the response that it's giving. Some more general improvements. The first is the ability to update combined cut lengths during a revised import. So what this means is historically, if an item got longer during a revised import, it wouldn't check if the additional length was able to be incorporated in the current combining plan or item reservation. What it will do now, if that additional length can be accommodated and the link does not need to be broken, then it won't. The link will just be updated instead. We've added a new rule in weld maintenance, which means that when a certain type of weld gets to a certain length or exceeds a certain length, then it can be automatically converted to another weld type based on your workshop capabilities. On the subject of welding, we've added two new weld reports in estimating. The first is a weld summary, which is going to give you a really simple breakdown of all the different weld types you have on your job and sizes, and give you the overall lengths for those and the time involved. And the second report gives a much more detailed breakdown showing each weld line by line. On the subject of reports, we have added a new option when running a report, which allows you to view the report on completion. Now, I'm sure we've all been sat there on a large project, and this isn't just for estimating, this is for all reports throughout PowerFab. So we've been sat there waiting for a large job, whether it's an estimate or a production control job, to process before we can run the reports. Now what we can do is select the report or reports we want to run, click the view on completion checkbox, and then even if that's going to take a minute or two in order to run, we can then go back to doing whatever else we need to do, and those reports will eventually run when the data has been processed. So that'll help save you a bit of time staring at your screen waiting for those buttons to turn blue. We saw this a bit earlier in the webinar, but we've added a new plan tab onto the work package window in PowerFab Office. So rather than having to go look at the schedule to see how a particular work package has been planned, we can now see that directly on the work package tab itself, so we can see by department which workshop and work area it's been scheduled to, and how that's been broken down across the weeks. We've had a really handy feature, or filter should I say, within production control, and this allows you to filter for what items, what assemblies and parts have been completed in a work area. So this will help you distinguish what items have been fabricated in one workshop and work area versus another. And finally, we've now added the ability to nest onto future remnants. So if you're using third-party plate nesting applications, when they send their remnants back, these can then be nested onto for kind of subsequent nests, even at a point where that remnant hasn't become physical yet. It's still theoretical. But this will be something that your third-party nesting softwares will have to incorporate within their integrations.
All right. Thank you for that, Ian. This brings us to the question and answer portion of this Tekla PowerFab 2025i webinar. I'll go ahead and go first. There were questions on the integration about licensing. So you do have to purchase licenses of Viewpoint Vista and ProjectSight in order to use those software. They don't come with PowerFab. And I understand on the ProjectSight side, we don't want anyone to be confused. We're not replacing our project management module. We still have that. This is if you want an enhanced way to do it, but you do need to purchase licenses. With that, most of the other questions pertain to Ian's presentation, so I'll pass it over to him.
I think we've answered a few of these we've been going through, but they're beneficial for everyone to be able to see. So the first one, can I split work package over different workshops? That's a good question. So the answer is yes, you can. However, you can't split. The split task option that I showed you today is within a single department. So you can't say that half of fabrication is being done in workshop 1 and the other half is done in workshop 2. You can break it over different lines, or sorry, different work areas within the same workshop, but the same department can't be split. However, if you were going to say that parts prep was going to be done in a subcontract or subfabrication workshop, and fabrication was going to be done in a different, your own workshop, then that is possible. You just can't split the same department over multiple workshops. I guess this is in relation to the future work packages. Is there a chart or report to view the long-range schedule? This would make it easier to see where there are gaps in the schedule that needs to be filled. Short answer is no, there isn't, but that's a really good suggestion. We'd kind of talked about something like that, but yeah, watch this space on that one. We'll try and incorporate that feedback if we can. It would be great if we could set rules for my machines to say what they can and cannot do. Yeah, so that's exactly what they can be used for. I apologise if I wasn't clear on that, or maybe the question was asked kind of in advance of me going through it. But yeah, when you are defining your rules, you can specify whether it's for an individual machine. So those rules only be checked when a cut list is assigned to a specific machine. So whether it's based on kind of the thickness of plate, or the size of material, or the overall length, whatever it might be, that can be done. Will the warnings show on the planner? Yep, so I mentioned this briefly, and because it's in Go, even if it just misses the release, that is something that we're working on, and something that will be released once it's ready. So keep your eye. So in PowerFab Go, it'll be on the planner itself, the work packages screen, and the cut list screen. And that's most of them. There's one here. I guess this is in relation to the updated links one, which says, does that mean I won't need to unlink and recombine parts back into the same bar? Yeah, exactly that. So imagine this is an exaggerated example, but let's say you've nested two 20-foot parts into a 45-foot beam, so there's 5 feet worth of anticipated drop. If one of those 20-foot parts increases to 22 feet, historically what you'd have to do is uncombine that part, and then that will allow you to update the length from 20 to 22 feet, and then you have to re-add that 22-foot length back into the same bar because it can cater for the additional 2 foot in length. Now that won't be necessary. It will, if the additional 2 feet in this case can be accommodated for, then it will just update the combining result to suit. Okay, I think that's all the ones that I've got, Ryan. If I pass over to you.
Okay, thanks for that, Ian. Just before we wrap up, a bit of key information. So the new version of PowerFab can be found at download.tekla.com. Currently, the beta is available. As of September 17 next week, the general release will be available. As always, if you need help, you can contact support.tekla.com/Tekla PowerFab for product help and support, or you can just use the AI chatbot and type in there and get an instantaneous answer. You can join our user feedback program. Reach out to us if you'd like to do that, and we will send you the chance to give your comments and after the webinar in the feedback poll. Shameless plugs for Trimble. Dimensions are coming up. We do have the PowerFab user conference as part of that. And this year we have more PowerFab content than ever. We have 13 PowerFab specific sessions in the catalog. Half of those are being presented by either customers or partners of ours. So we have some really amazing content there. Check it out, register for Dimensions if you're so moved. And we did, after our 2025 version, there was an enhanced steel fabrication workflow webinar that was really well done by Dave Hitteman and by Zach Parker. So you can scan the QR code to check out that webinar on the PowerFab connector to Tekla. They did a really amazing job, and that's a good bit of dev that crosses over to Trimble products. And with that, thank you for joining this webinar. On behalf of Ian and myself, we hope you download and use our new version. So thank you and goodbye.